Hello, friends. You're once again welcome to the Gallery of Answers. And today we'll be talking about a very interesting subject, the subject of forgiveness. Now, we are not going to be talking at length about it, but we are just going to be talking about the possibility of it and the acceptance of the possibility, and equally a simple response to the situation when it presents itself. Now, some years ago, I was working at a firm and a client walked in. He was wearing an interesting t shirt. On the t shirt, it was written, Demons don't disappoint, angels do. Now, at first, I was put off by the write up because it was graphical, of course, it was very graphical with a very nice font and everything was catchy. But I was a little bit put off about it. But then I took some time out and I understood the concept and where the person is coming from. Of course, I walked up to him and I asked, or someone else did, I can't exactly remember. But the guy explained the reason why he came up with that write up. He said, with demons, you exactly know what you are getting into. They are kind of liars, cheats, and they manipulate and do all these things. You know exactly what demons represent. But you see angels, you expect angels to be good. But demons were once angels, right? So there is this the opportunity, this privilege of them making their choices in a way. Now, not founded on very strict spiritual principles, but just literally. The guy just put it there literally, like, okay, if you if you walk up to a bad person, a cheat, a liar, a thief, you walk up to him, you know exactly what you are getting into. But you see, when you walk up to a good person, you cannot exactly say, okay, maybe today they are good, maybe today they are not, maybe today they are nice, maybe today they are having a mood swing or something. You are not very sure. Now, but that got me thinking. Several years ago, of course, that got me thinking, and today I want to talk about it, the issue of forgiveness. You see, when relating with people, we have access to the pre-understood characteristics of everyone. Now, even if you are meeting someone for the first time, you walk up to the person, you like to know about the person, you got a little bit of information, and from the first day, the second day, you do things, stuff together, you talk, you begin to paint a picture of the person in your mind, right? You start to paint a simple picture of the person in your mind. Now, if you ask people about the person, people talk about the person, whether the person is very popular, you see a lot of stuff online about the person, you check their social media, you see a lot of things, you begin to paint a better picture of the person. And then the person acts, the person reacts, the person behaves. You see all these things, and the picture becomes more vivid to you about the person. You can, to an extent, guess, okay, this and these are the things that I expected from this kind of person. For example, you meet someone, you met in church, you met in a unit in church, you were discussing, you got talking, and then you got each other's contacts, you shared a little bit of thoughts, you talked about stuff, you talked about church, you talked about your job, you talked about other people a little bit, you talked about God, and then you follow the person on social media, you see some of their previous stuff, you check their track record, where they've been, who they've met, what they've done, and you begin to paint a simple picture of this person. You begin to paint a more concrete picture of this person, and then we have expectations, which is very, very normal. It is an essential trait in human relation. Of course, we cannot relate with each other without expectations. We cannot relate with each other without having any form of expectations in our heart. You see, why would I be talking to someone when I know for sure, when I cannot know anything for sure about this person? Why would I even be relating? Why would I have relationships? Why would I have friends? Why would I have discussions with anyone, even with a co-worker, with a friend in church? Why will I even have relationship with anybody without any expectation? It is impossible. We must have expectations. Expectations are essential when dealing with others. But you see, the picture we paint about people helps us to define and refine our expectations of them. At least if we are smart, it will help us to refine our expectations of them. Now, our expectations are defined by the picture of this person that we have made, that we have painted. Those expectations are defined by that. We use those things that we know about the person to build these expectations. Now, not everybody does that, of course. For some people, you will not get the chance to know so much about them before you begin to, because of the circumstance, expect some things from them. But you see, expectations are normal, as I have established earlier. They are essentials for communities, for the society. They are very much essentials, and there are some default things that we treat as understandable expectations. We treat some things as understandable expectations. Now, as I have established, expectations is very important. Of course, it cannot be disregarded in society. Society run on expectation. You do business deals on expectations because you believe that the person you are dealing with will definitely make good on their word. Now, the possibility and the acceptance of expectations in society equally opens the door for the issue of disappointment. When people fall short of the expectations that has been placed on them, they give room for disappointment. Who are disappointed when they have expectations and someone defaults it. You see, as believers, we are living in the world, but we are not of the world. Now, like everybody else, we have expectations. Like everybody else, we interact with people. Expectations are very important for us in interaction with people. And like everybody else, we experience disappointments because, of course, we are in the world. We deal with humans who are prone and susceptible to errors and mistakes. Let's talk about these 3 points, and that will be it. The first thing is we ought to factor in errors. We ought to factor in mistakes. You see, when making decisions, when building our expectations, when painting pictures about people, we should comprehend the fact that it is impossible, practically impossible, for anyone to completely and flawlessly know another person. The only person who has access to everything that is to know about someone is God, not even the person. We don't even know everything about ourselves. We don't know what we are capable of in the right circumstances. If some things play out together, we don't yet fully comprehend how our reactions or actions will be, whether good or bad. We don't yet know ourselves. Let us equally remember the fact that even Jesus told us that in this world we have tribulations, but we should be of good cheer. He has overcome the world. Now, He has told us to always rejoice, to permit the joy of the Lord in our heart, to be at peace. Yet He knows that some circumstances, some tribulations will play out, and we would not be of good cheer when handling those things. We will be dejected, we'll be sad, sometimes we'll be angry, very pissed off because of the challenges and because of the tribulations that will assail us. But you see, we need to understand that we need to give room for error when we are making decisions and building expectations about people. Another day, I'm going to have a bigger, larger discussion about this subject. But today, let us just leave it on the aspect that when we are building our expectations about people, we need to give room for error, for mistakes, and for people to fall short of the picture we have painted of them. Because when we are building these expectations about people, we need to factor in that people have the tendency of falling short of these pictures we have painted of them. The second thing I would like us to consider is we need to understand that forgiveness is both a gift and a command. Now, what do I mean by this? We have been given the privilege of forgiveness in Jesus Christ. When we make a God, we approach the throne of grace and we receive grace. We receive help in times of need. We are forgiven and our sins are washed away. Our trespasses are forgotten, swept completely out of sight. But forgiveness is equally a command. We are commanded to forgive when we are offended. Now, this comes to play. You see, it's an easy concept to look through when we are checking the fine print of salvation. We're like, okay, you will be forgiven, but you must equally forgive when you are offended. Fine, of course. Why would I have any difficulty with forgiving anyone when offended, right? It's something that is expected, of course. You remember that we have a parable on that actually. The servant that begged the master to let go of his debts, and the master saw his heart and saw the way he was begging and everything, and forgave him, completely forgave him, wiped away his debts, everything was cleared up. But then he went ahead to challenge another servant that hold him, and they locked that one up in prison. And remember what the master did. The master equally locked him up and said that he will stay there until he completely paid his old debts. You see, we are forgiven. It is a gift. But we are equally commanded to forgive when offended. It is a command and we have to follow it. As believers, as Christians, we have to follow this command. Now, the last thing I want us to consider is this. We should trust God to lead us, and when He does, we should follow Him. Now, maybe I've forgotten to mention this point about the previous point. The second point that says, understand that forgiveness is a gift and equally a command. You see, when we build expectations of people and they fall short of it, we have a chance to hold them, to add it to the picture we were painting of them as defaulters, to add it to the picture we are painting of them and scribbling their name in our black book or something. Or we could just forgive it. We could just forgive the trespass. We could just forgive the falling short as we ourselves are forgiven by God. We could equally forgive that. Of course, it will inform the subsequent expectations we build of these people, definitely. But forgiveness is a command. We have to forgive. We cannot hold anyone in the prison of our hearts and expect God to continue with us business as usual. So forgiveness is a command. Now the last thing, trust God to lead you, and when He does, follow Him. You see, this is very important. When we are building expectations of people, we should not build it the way the world builds it. We should build it from God's perspective. You see, as I said earlier, God is the only one that knows everything about everyone. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be completely flawless, because as much as God leads us and guides us in life, sometimes He permits us to experience life not from His own perspective, from our own perspective. Not because He has deserted us, but because He wants us to make informed choices. The point I'm trying to make out of this is that, of course, when God leads us, He has the ability, He has the strength, because He knows everyone, He knows the heart of everyone. He has the ability to help us evade, to help us elude everyone that could disappoint us. But He doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. And the reason He doesn't do that, first of all, is best known to Him. But the reason that I think He doesn't do that is because He wants us to experience life and make the choice to forgive. He wants us to experience life and experience the gift of being able to forgive others. The peace that comes after you have been disappointed and you forgive. The peace that comes, the joy that comes after the relationship that could have been trashed and broken down is rebuilt, coming back stronger according to His will. You see, all those things He doesn't want all these experiences, all these beautiful experiences to elude us. So He gives us the privilege of accessing forgiveness. Even though He could, He is not going to allow disappointment elude us completely. But you see, there are major ones, back-breaking disappointments, that following God's lead, following where He leads us, could save us from. You see, of course, the Bible recorded that He will not let us be tempted beyond our strength to handle it. And even if we are tempted, He will create a path for us to escape, right? So following Him ensures that there will be no back-breaking disappointments in our relationships. Nothing will crush our spirit. Nothing will crush us completely. No disappointment will have that access to us as long as we follow God's lead. We ask Him to lead us. We should trust Him that He can lead us, and when He does, we follow Him. So I don't know. Let me know if you agree. So those are the 3 things I want to talk about on this subject of forgiveness today. Now, the idea that demons don't disappoint and angels do. Let me know if you agree with that, and let me know your thoughts about the subject. Thank you for tuning in today, and have a wonderful day.